Welcome to Health Simplified, where we take those complex health topics that everybody's talking about and break them down into the stuff you actually need to know.
That's right.
And today we're diving deep into lifespan versus health span.
Okay.
So now we're all living longer. But are those extra years actually good years? You know,
Right.
that's the question.
That is the question.
And get this, the average person in developed countries spends almost a decade in ill health before they die.
Wow.
That's like almost an extra high school career.
Mm.
But instead of, fun and excitement, it's filled with doctor's appointments and medications.
It really puts things into perspective when you think about it that way, doesn't it? And
Yeah.
what I find really interesting is how this realization is actually changing the whole medical landscape.
Okay.
We're not just trying to keep people alive for longer now, but the focus is shifting toward quality of life during those extra years.
Like finally someone's realizing that the cake is only good if you can actually enjoy eating it.
Exactly.
But how do we even measure health span? Isn't that kind of subjective?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
So while lifespan is simply a count of birthdays, right? How many years you've been alive?
Right.
Health span is more about looking at the quality of those years.
Okay.
It's the portion of your life where you're generally free from chronic disease and disabilities.
Got it.
The things that tend to come with aging. So, yeah, it's not just about quantity. It's about how much you can actually do and experience during those years.
So two people could be the same age, but one person is out there, hiking mountains and traveling the world, and the other struggling with health issues.
Precisely. And, we talked about that average 9-year health span gap earlier.
Right.
That gap has huge implications, not just for individuals, but for our society as a whole.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine.
Think about the strain on healthcare systems if we all lived to 100, but spent the last, 10 years needing constant care.
Okay, so not only is it kind of selfish to want a long life with that health span, but it's actually bad for everyone else, too.
In a way, yes.
Okay, now I'm really paying attention. So what's the secret sauce? How do we bridge this gap and increase our health span?
Well, there's no magic bullet, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But what's really exciting is that scientists are starting to pinpoint the biological processes that drive aging.
Oh, wow.
They've identified what they call hallmarks of aging, things like, genomic instability, telomere shortening, and epigenetic alterations.
Okay, that sounds pretty complex.
It is complex stuff, but essentially these are the weak points that we need to target if we want to slow down aging and improve health span.
So it's like finding the rusty gears in a clock and figuring out how to oil them up to keep things ticking smoothly.
Yeah, that's a perfect analogy.
I like that.
And there are some really mind-blowing therapies being developed that directly address these hallmarks.
Oh, wow. Like what?
For instance, senolytics.
No, like...
These target and eliminate senescent cells which accumulate as we age and contribute to aging.
Hold on, back up. Senescent cells. Those sound kind of shady. What are those?
Think of them as the grumpy old cells in your body. They're not functioning properly, and they're actually pumping out inflammatory signals that damage the surrounding tissues.
So they're like throwing a never-ending retirement party and everyone else has to suffer.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
So senolytics are like the bouncers that come in and shut the party down.
Exactly.
I like it. But seriously, how does this actually work?
Well, early research in animals has been incredibly promising.
Okay.
Studies have shown that senolytics can extend lifespan, improve health span, and even have a positive impact on age-related diseases.
Wow. Okay, color me intrigued.
Ah.
But what about stuff we can do right now? While we're waiting for the science to catch up.
That's where lifestyle comes in. And this isn't just about, the generic eat your veggies and get some sleep advice.
Right, of course.
We're talking about targeted strategies based on the latest research.
Okay, I like it.
For example, did you know that a study in the Journal of the American Medical Association found that a Mediterranean diet can reduce your risk of heart disease by a whopping 25%?
25%.
Okay.
Okay, I'm listening. But Mediterranean diet, that's a lot of olive oil and fish, right?
Yeah, it is, but it's not just about the specific foods. It's about the underlying principles.
Okay.
Focusing on whole, unprocessed foods, prioritizing plants, and don't forget healthy fats. And here's something else that's really interesting. From the Blue Zones research.
Okay.
Those are the areas with the highest concentration of centenarians.
Right.
They really emphasize mindful eating.
What does that mean?
Savoring your food, eating slowly, stopping when you're satisfied, not stuffed.
So it's not just what's on your plate, but how you eat it.
Exactly.
Mind blown.
Yeah.
Okay, but food is only part of the equation. What about exercise? Do I have to become a marathon runner to maximize my health span?
Not at all.
Okay, good.
Consistency is more important than intensity when it comes to exercise.
Okay.
Aim for at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity activity per week, or 75 minutes of vigorous activity.
Okay, and the good news is it doesn't have to be all at once, right?
Correct.
Okay. I was getting flashbacks to gym class.
I understand.
So what are some examples of moderate versus vigorous activity?
Sure. So moderate could be things like brisk walking, swimming, cycling, even gardening.
Oh, okay.
And then vigorous would be things like running HIIT workouts or competitive sports.
Got it.
The key is to find something that you enjoy and that you can stick with long term.
It's about making movement a part of your life, not just another chore on the to-do list.
Exactly.
And let's not forget strength training, right?
Absolutely.
Isn't that crucial as we age?
It is. Researchers at Harvard have found that regular strength training can not only improve muscle mass and strength, but it can also enhance cognitive function and reduce the risk of falls, which is a major concern as we get older.
Wow, so it's like a multi-pronged attack against age-related decline.
That's a great way to put it.
I'm starting to see a pattern here. It's not just about living longer, it's about living better.
Yes.
But what about sleep?
Oh, sleep is crucial.
We're also sleep deprived these days. Does that affect our health span?
It does. Sleep is when our bodies repair and regenerate, and chronic sleep deprivation is linked to a whole host of health problems.
Like what?
Increased inflammation, impaired cognitive function, and a higher risk of chronic diseases.
So we really need to make sleep a priority.
We do aim for 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep per night.
Okay.
And remember, it's not just about quantity, it's about quality too.
Right, of course.
Establish a regular sleep-wake cycle, create a relaxing bedtime routine, and avoid caffeine and alcohol before bed.
So it's like setting up good sleep hygiene.
Exactly.
Treat sleep like the precious resource it is. But what about those of us who struggle with sleep? Are there any tips for getting those precious z's?
Yeah, of course. If you're having trouble sleeping, the first thing you should do is talk to your doctor.
Okay.
Just to rule out any underlying medical conditions. But there are also some things you can do on your own.
Like what?
Try relaxation techniques like deep breathing or meditation before bed. Make sure your bedroom is cool, dark, and quiet. And avoid screen time for at least an hour before you go to sleep.
It's like creating a sanctuary for sleep, a place where your body and mind can truly unwind.
I like that.
Okay, so we've covered diet, exercise, sleep. What else is on the healthspan checklist?
Well, don't underestimate the power of social connections.
Oh, that's a good one.
Studies have shown that people with strong social ties tend to live longer and healthier lives.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, social interaction reduces stress, improves mood, and even boosts our immune systems.
So it's not just good for the soul, it's good for the body, too.
Exactly.
I guess those girls' nights out are actually preventative health care.
Yeah, I could say that.
But seriously, how do we make sure we're getting enough social interaction, especially as we get older and, our social circles might shrink?
Yeah, that's a good point. It's about being proactive.
Okay.
Join a club volunteer, take a class, or just make an effort to connect with friends and family regularly. And don't forget the power of touch.
Oh.
Hugs, handshakes, even just a pat on the back can release oxytocin, which is sometimes called the cuddle hormone. And it has all sorts of health benefits.
Okay, I'm sold. More hugs, more health span. But what about those of us who are more introverted? Do we have to force ourselves to be social butterflies?
No, not at all. It's about finding what feels good for you.
Right?
Even small interactions can have a positive impact.
Okay.
Strike up a conversation with a barista, chat with a neighbor, join an online community that aligns with your interests. There are lots of ways to connect with others.
It's about finding those little moments of connection that bring joy and meaning to our lives.
Precisely.
So as we wrap up this first part of our deep dive into healthspan, what's the key takeaway for our listeners?
I think the key takeaway is that we have more control over our health span than we might realize.
That's empowering.
It is. By making conscious choices about how we live our lives, we can increase our chances of not just living longer, but living better.
Absolutely. It's not about waiting for a miracle cure. It's about taking action today to create a healthier, happier tomorrow.
I agree with that. Welcome back to Health Simplified. It's great to continue our deep dive into the world of health span.
Last time we talked about all those practical steps we can take, but now let's journey into the future of healthspan. I'm talking about the groundbreaking research that could really change everything.
Absolutely. We're moving beyond just managing aging to potentially rewriting its script altogether. It's about really understanding the intricate dance of our biology and finding ways to optimize it.
Okay, sign me up for those dance lessons. But seriously, where do we even begin unraveling these complexities of aging?
Well, scientists are making some serious headway by focusing on the biological mechanisms that actually drive the aging process.
Okay.
They've identified specific genes that play a role in lifespan.
Oh, wow.
For example, researchers at MIT have found that a gene called SART-T6, when it's overexpressed in mice, can actually extend their lifespan significantly.
So there's a genetic component to how long we live. Does that mean our fate is sealed from birth?
Not necessarily. While we can't change the genes we inherit, we can actually influence how those genes are expressed.
Oh, okay.
It's the field of epigenetics, how our environment and lifestyle choices can switch genes on or off.
So it's like we have a volume knob for our genes.
Yeah.
We can crank up the good ones and mute the bad ones. I like that.
That's a great way to think about it. And what's even more fascinating is that some of these epigenetic changes can be passed down to future generations.
Oh, wow.
There was a study at McGill University that found that children of fathers who experienced famine early in life had altered epigenetic markers related to metabolism and disease risk.
Wow, that's profound. It really highlights the interconnectedness of generations.
It does.
But let's get back to the really exciting stuff, those therapies that are actually targeting aging mechanisms directly. What's the latest on senolytics?
Well, the field of senolytics is absolutely exploding right now.
That's great.
Researchers at the Mayo Clinic have shown that senolytics can improve physical function and reduce frailty in mice.
Okay.
They're even investigating the potential of senolytics to treat age-related diseases like osteoarthritis and Alzheimer's.
So it's not just about living longer. It's about living better for longer.
Precisely.
Sign me up. But how close are we to actually seeing these therapies available to the public?
That's the big question, right?
Yeah.
Well, there are several clinical trials that are currently underway, and early results are looking really promising.
Oh, good.
For example, a recent trial at Unity Biotechnology found that a senolytic drug actually improved knee function in patients with osteoarthritis.
Wow.
It's still early days, but the potential is huge.
This is so exciting. It feels like we're really on the verge of a health span revolution.
I think so.
But are there any downsides to eliminating these senescent cells? Could it disrupt other important processes in the body?
That's a valid concern, and it's something that researchers are actively investigating.
Okay.
The goal is to develop senolytics that are highly targeted and minimize any potential off-target effects. So it's a delicate balancing act, but the potential benefits are just too great to ignore.
Right, it's all about weighing those risks and benefits. But let's move on to another area that's capturing a lot of attention these days. NAD plus boosters. What's the deal with those?
Okay, so NAD plus is a coenzyme that plays a crucial role in cellular energy production and DNA repair.
Okay.
Unfortunately, NAD plus levels decline as we age, and this decline is thought to contribute to many age-related diseases.
So that's where NAD plus boosters come in.
Exactly.
So boosting NAD plus levels is like giving ourselves a much-needed energy drink.
You could say that.
But seriously, how do NAD plus boosters actually work?
Well, there are several compounds that can actually boost NAD plus levels.
Okay.
One promising compound is called NMN, and it has shown remarkable results in preclinical studies.
Okay.
Researchers at Harvard have found that NMN can actually reverse age-related muscle decline and improve glucose tolerance in mice.
Wow, that's impressive. It sounds like NMN could be a game changer for human health span. But what about safety? Are there any side effects?
So far, NMN appears to be well tolerated in human studies. But as with any new compound, more research is needed to fully understand its long-term effects.
Oh, right.
And it's always important to consult with your doctor before taking any supplements, including NAD plus boosters.
Okay. Always good to err on the side of caution.
Okay.
But let's shift gears to another area that has the potential to really transform health span regenerative medicine. What are some of the latest breakthroughs in this field?
Regenerative medicine is all about repairing or replacing damaged tissues and organs. One particularly exciting area is stem cell therapy. Stem cells have this unique ability to develop into different types of cells.
Right.
And researchers are investigating their potential for treating a wide range of diseases.
So it's like having a repair kit for our bodies.
Yeah.
Can you give us some specific examples of how stem cells are being used to improve health span?
Sure. So researchers at Stanford University are actually using stem cells to treat age-related macular degeneration.
Wow.
Which is a leading cause of vision loss. And at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, they're investigating the use of stem cells to repair heart damage after a heart attack.
Those are some serious conditions. It's incredible to think that stem cells could offer new hope for people suffering from these diseases. But what about the ethical considerations of stem cell research? Are there any concerns we should be aware of?
Ethical considerations are always at the forefront of stem cell research.
Of course.
The use of embryonic stem cells is particularly controversial as it involves the destruction of embryos.
Right.
However, there are also adult stem cells which can be harvested from the patient's own body, and induced pluripotent stem cells, which are adult cells that have been reprogrammed to behave like embryonic stem cells. These alternative sources of stem cells are less ethically contentious.
It's reassuring to know that scientists are taking these ethical considerations seriously. But let's move on to another exciting area, gene editing. How is this technology being used to advance the field of health span?
Gene editing technologies like CRISPR-Cas9 allow scientists to precisely alter DNA sequences, and this has opened up a whole new world of possibilities for treating genetic diseases and potentially even targeting those aging mechanisms directly.
So it's like having a molecular scalpel to fix faulty genes. That sounds like science fiction.
It's pretty incredible technology.
It is. Can you give us some examples of how gene editing is being used to improve health span?
Sure. Researchers at the University of Pennsylvania are using CRISPR-Cas9 to treat sickle cell anemia, which is a debilitating genetic blood disorder.
Right.
And at the Salk Institute, they're investigating the potential of gene editing to reverse age-related muscle decline.
These are incredible advancements. But what about the ethical concerns surrounding gene editing? There's a lot of debate about the potential for unintended consequences. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, gene editing is a very powerful tool, and it's crucial that we use it responsibly. There are valid concerns about the potential for off-target effects and the ethical implications of altering the human germline. So it's a complex issue that requires careful consideration and ongoing dialogue among scientists, ethicists, and the public.
It sounds like we're really on the cusp of a new era in health span, with both incredible promise and profound responsibility.
I agree.
What's the key takeaway for our listeners as we navigate this uncharted territory?
The future of health span is bright with all these groundbreaking therapies on the horizon, but it's crucial that we approach these advancements with both enthusiasm and caution, considering both their potential benefits and ethical implications.
Absolutely. It's a time of both great hope and careful consideration. But our deep dive isn't over yet. In part 3, we'll bring it back to the present, exploring some more practical strategies you can implement right now to optimize your health span no matter what the future holds. So stay tuned. There's so much more to uncover. Welcome back to Health Simplified. We've gone from the basics of health span to the really mind-blowing research that's shaping its future. But now let's get down to brass tacks. What can we do today to make those extra years the best they can be?
Exactly. No sci-fi solutions, just actionable advice.
Okay, so let's ditch the overwhelm and get practical. We talked about stress earlier. How do we actually manage it in our crazy busy lives?
You know, stress is like this sneaky thief stealing away our health span little by little.
Really?
There was a study at Carnegie Mellon University, and they found that chronic stress can actually shorten telomeres.
Okay.
Those protective caps on our DNA, which is a marker of accelerated aging.
So it's not just about feeling frazzled, it's actually impacting our biology.
Yeah, it really is.
Okay. I'm officially taking stress management seriously, but where do we even begin?
Well, I think the first step is awareness.
Okay.
Pay attention to what your stress triggers are and notice how your body responds. Then experiment with different stress-busting techniques and see what works best for you.
Like, give us some examples.
Sure. Mindfulness practices like meditation or deep breathing can be incredibly effective.
Okay.
Even just a few minutes a day can make a difference.
Right.
And don't underestimate the power of nature.
Oh, yeah. Nature's always good.
There was a study in Japan that found that spending time in forests, it's called forest bathing, can actually lower blood pressure and reduce stress hormones.
Forest bathing sounds relaxing. Yeah. But what about those of us who can't exactly escape to the woods every day?
I understand that even a short walk in a park or listening to nature sounds can have a calming effect. And don't forget the power of connection.
Oh, yeah.
Talking to a friend, cuddling a pet, or engaging in activities that you really enjoy can all help buffer those negative effects of stress.
It's about finding those little pockets of peace throughout the day.
Exactly.
Okay, stress manage. What about exercise? I know it's important, but I need some motivation beyond it's good for you.
I hear you. How did this? Researchers at the University of California, San Francisco found that older adults who engaged in regular exercise actually had longer telomeres than those who were sedentary.
Oh, wow. So exercise literally helps preserve our DNA?
It appears so.
I'm suddenly feeling very motivated to move. But what kind of exercise is best for maximizing health span? Do I have to become a gym rat?
Not at all. The key is to find activities that you actually enjoy and that you can sustain over time.
Okay, that makes sense.
Aim for a combination of cardio strength training and flexibility exercises.
Okay, break it down for us. What are some examples of each?
Sure, so for cardio, think brisk walking, swimming, cycling, or even dancing.
Okay.
Strength training can involve body weight exercises, resistance bands, or weights. And for flexibility, try yoga, Pilates, or even just simple stretching.
It's about finding a balance that works for your body. But let's be honest, exercise is only part of the equation. What about food? What should we be eating to fuel our health span?
There's no one-size-fits-all answer, but the research consistently points toward a diet rich in whole, unprocessed foods with an emphasis on plants.
So the usual suspects, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, anything more specific?
Well, the Mediterranean diet has been extensively studied.
Yeah.
And it's consistently linked to a longer, healthier life. It emphasizes fruits, vegetables, legumes, whole grains, olive oil, and fish.
Right.
And it's not just about the individual nutrients, but it's really about that overall dietary pattern.
So it's about enjoying a variety of those delicious, wholesome foods.
Exactly.
Sign me up. But what about those of us with a sweet tooth? Do we have to completely give up dessert?
Everything in moderation.
Okay.
It's okay to indulge occasionally, but focus on making those healthy choices most of the time.
Right.
Pay attention to portion sizes. Often, it's not the food itself that's the problem. It's the amount we consume.
That makes sense. It's about finding a balance that feels good and sustainable. But let's move on to another crucial aspect of health span: sleep. How does quality sleep contribute to aging well?
Sleep is like hitting the reset button for our bodies and minds.
I like that.
During sleep, our cells repair, our brains consolidate memories, and our hormones rebalance.
Wow.
Chronic sleep deprivation, on the other hand, is linked to increased inflammation, impaired cognitive function, and a higher risk of chronic diseases.
So skimping on sleep is literally aging us faster.
It can. Yeah.
Okay, I'm officially prioritizing shut-eye.
Yeah.
But what if we struggle to get those 7 to 8 hours? Any tips for improving sleep quality?
Yeah, sure. Establish a regular sleep-wake cycle even on weekends to keep your body's natural rhythm in sync.
Okay.
Create a relaxing bedtime routine that signals to your brain it's time to wind down. Make sure your bedroom is cool, dark, and quiet, and avoid caffeine and alcohol before bed.
It's like creating a sanctuary for sleep, a place where you can truly disconnect and recharge. But we've talked a lot about physical health. What about mental and emotional well-being? How do those factors contribute to health span?
Well, mental and emotional health are integral to overall well-being.
Yeah, of course.
Studies have shown that people who cultivate positive emotions, practice gratitude, and have a sense of purpose tend to live longer, healthier lives.
So it's not just about our bodies, it's about our minds and spirits, too.
Exactly.
How do we nurture those aspects of ourselves?
Engage in activities that bring you joy, whether it's spending time with loved ones, pursuing your hobbies, or simply taking a few moments each day to appreciate the beauty around you.
Yeah.
Practice mindfulness, connect with nature, and don't be afraid to seek professional support if you're struggling.
It's about making our mental and emotional well-being a priority, not just an afterthought. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground today as we wrap up our deep dive into health span. What's the one message you want our listeners to take away?
I think the biggest takeaway is that health span is not just about adding years to our lives, it's about adding life to our years. And the good news is we have the power to make choices every day that support a longer, healthier, and more fulfilling life.
It's a journey, not a destination, and it's one that we can all embark on together. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into health span. We hope you've gained some valuable insights and feel inspired to make those extra years truly golden. Thank you for taking the time out to listen to our deep dive. Until next time, stay healthy and stay informed.